Yo, what's up everyone? Back for this Monday slate. We have a surprising 3-game slate for tonight. Was pretty shocked when I saw that. I was expecting at least a decent sized slate starting off the week, but only 3 games. Going to be, I guess, a nice... it's not a ton of fun as the games aren't that appealing, but we'll talk about it nonetheless. Let's get into it. And drop a like down below and subscribe if you have not already. And you can follow on Twitter for updates, and if you want to join, you can visit the website. Baseball's right around the corner. Still have some spots if you want to get in on the early bird. Starting off here at point guard, Trae Young is looking like a solid option today. He's been struggling the last couple games. It seems like he might be sick, but his shots aren't really falling. I think he'll get back on track at home here against a Charlotte defense. They're very bad defensively. The only problem is that they play super slow. But on a 3-game slate where there's not a ton of spend-ups, Young looks like a pretty solid option, especially since he's at home, and he's done pretty well at home this year. Don't mind going with like a Devontae Graham. I like him at 6,400. If Van Fleet's in, then that would make Lowry a little bit less appealing. But Bledsoe, Draftkings once again is giving us a freebie today. Bledsoe 5,700 is going to be the first guy that I put in my lineup. No Giannis again today. Was solid last night against Phoenix. Tougher spot here against Denver, but his price tag only went up $300 for a guy that averages well over 1.3 DraftKings points per minute. Without Giannis out there, over like a 30% usage rate, Bledsoe looks like one of the best plays on the day today. Over at shooting guard, Rozier looks okay, 6,600. Powell is up to 6,800, but he's been well worth that price tag. Just continues to crush without Van Fleet. It's been a little bit annoying since the news has come out after lock, so tough on like a site like Fanduel. You can't swap, or even on Draftkings. It's been tough because the games have been late. But hopefully we can get some of that news because Powell looks like another solid option. If Van Fleet misses again, I'd say Dante DiVincenzo looks like a good play at shooting guard at 4,800. No Giannis. Even if he doesn't get more minutes, I think he will get a couple more minutes, but he will get more usage, more shot attempts. So at 4,800, he looks like a pretty good option. And then you have Gary Harris, looks solid at 4,400. Small forward, I like Chris Middleton is going to be another guy that I put in at 76. I think Bogdanovic looks good at 6,100, because the position is pretty thin today. Will Barton looks okay at 6K. And then I don't mind going with like a Bridges at 5,500. But Chris Middleton is going to be another guy that I start my lineup with today. Him and Bledsoe once again. At power forward, I like Siakam 8,700 depending on some of the Van Fleet news. It's a tough matchup going into Utah, but Utah's defense has been pretty bad over the past couple months. And then I'm not that interested in paying $5K for Marvin Williams or 46 for Ilyasova. I'd say that PJ Washington looks like a pretty good play at 5,600 against this Atlanta team. They're bad defensively. They play super fast, so it's a big-time pace-up spot for Charlotte. And Washington's been getting solid run here in the 30s and been productive. So at 56, pretty good option, I'd say, at power forward. At center, Jokic looks fine at 95. Ibaka looks like a steal at 5,900. And then I like Brook Lopez at 51. Gasol played last night. He played just 16 minutes. There's a chance he probably sits on a back-to-back here. But even if he doesn't, I still think Ibaka will start, and we'll still see the chunk of the minutes here against Gobert. It's a tough spot, but he's just too cheap, 5,900 for the upside that he does possess, as we saw last night. And then here at guard, I love Trae Young at 10-3. Looks like a solid play. I like Devontae Graham at 6,400. When I at least get a couple, I'll probably get 1 or 2 Hornets here, and I think Graham is probably my favorite guy on the team. 64 he's cheaper than Rozier. He has more upside than Rozier just because he has more assist opportunities, and he shoots a ton. His shots are starting to fall recently, so he's starting to get back on a hot streak. Still playing solid minutes, and it is a tremendous spot, especially I assume he'll be matched up against Trae Young, who's one of the worst defenders in the league. And then speaking of Trae Young, it's a guy that I would want at 10-3 on the slate. Just to run it back on the other side, I expect him to get back on track. He's been struggling recently. He was battling some illnesses, but his shots have been awful, but at least he's still shooting a ton, and I think he will definitely get back on track. It's a great spot for him against Charlotte. And over on Fanduel here, Trae Young is looking like a solid play at 96. Lowry looks good, depending on, even if Van Fleet's in, you could play him at that price tag. It's pretty cheap. And then I love Bledsoe. I love the top 3 options. And I don't mind going with Rozier, but probably will pay up for two out of the top 5 players. Personally, Bledsoe is still probably my favorite at 6,200. It's just too cheap for the role without Giannis that he has on the team. At shooting guard, Middleton looks amazing. Graham looks amazing. Well, it looks solid. I say Powell looks amazing. If Van Fleet misses again, you could even take a risk on Fanduel because he's been so good. Even if you don't know the news before lock, on a 3-game slate, I'd say it might be worth it. But I'd say Middleton is still going to be the guy that I try to jam in there, him and Bledsoe, both sites. Small forward, I like Siakam, 7,900, looks like a solid play. I like Bogdanovic, looks good, and not a ton of options, so Barton would also make the player pool. I'd say that Bogdanovic looks like a pretty good bet right now, 5,800. Over at power forward, I like John Collins at 86, but Ibaka is really cheap, 5,700. And then I'd say if you want to punt with a $3,700 guy, you have O'Neal, Grant, and Ilyasova. All 3 of them are in play. Probably I'd go with probably Ilyasova would be the second option, maybe behind O'Neal and then Grant. But if I'm at this position, Ibaka looks like a really good bet. 5,700 for him. We'll probably assume he'll start once again. We'll see good minutes, especially with Gasol in a back-to-back. And then over at center, I like Jokic. And I like Brook Lopez quite a bit. And then even Cody Zeller is in play at 4,300. But Lopez, I like him here at 5,100. He also gets a decent bump without Giannis. The thing that's so appealing with Brook Lopez is the blocks. He's had some huge block games this year, like 5+ blocks. He had an 8-block game against Phoenix, 5-4. And on FanDuel, we get 3 points for those categories. It's very appealing. So Brook Lopez, another guy that I would want on FanDuel. So that's pretty much it. Only 3 games, not a lot to talk about. We'll update you guys on Twitter as things change. Thanks for watching, and good luck today.